and non-Jews do not have a nefesh elokis, a godly soul. This could not be further from the truth. It is a twisted teaching, unfortunately. It is not what the Alter Rebbe was trying to say. And this Orach Chaim actually comes along and rebuts that whole ideology and says you shouldn't think that you're in some way have some kind of superior soul, because the root of your soul was also enmeshed in Klippa, okay? And you are no different than any stranger who is trying to attach himself to godliness. And therefore, you have no right to be haughty and proud and think that you are superior, or come up with some kind of superiority doctrine that the supremacy of Jews over non-Jews, which is completely absurd. It is a nasty doctrine. It is a doctrine that will do nothing to promote peace in the world and to bring the Gentiles closer to godliness. It will do the complete opposite. It will cut the cord completely and cause such a hatred and a sinus chinam that you will not believe, and that is not what we are here to achieve. So, after he says this, it's also mentioned that in chapter 23, verse 9, okay, it's mentioned again, which is interesting because it's Parshas Mishpatim, which is plural, which is judgments, means judgments, and this is mentioned twice about the ger. And when it's mentioned the first time, it mentions lo sone, but and sechaltzenu, but in the second time it only mentions silchatz. So the root of lamed ches tzadi, which means to oppress. Okay, and that was through like theft, it said, right? So one of the things is that when you tell a non-Jew that he doesn't have a nefesh elokis, you're in a way stealing from him. You're in a way stealing something from him that he does have, because he's a tzelem elokim. He does have a godly soul, and he might not be aware of it, but he for sure has it. And when you sit there and lie to him and tell him that he doesn't, not only do you crush him, but you also basically stole his soul from him, because now he's unaware of it. So this is something very interesting that we have to take into consideration. So what does Rashi say? This first, the Orach Chaim says on this, Vatim yidatem es nefesh shager. So he says, do not oppress a convert. You know the soul of a convert, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. So, again, it mentions sojourning in the land of Egypt, right? But now it mentions a different element. It says, before it mentioned you were strangers, and Rashi says, and that tells you, so you can't point out a blemish in him. But now it's telling you even a deeper level. And it says, he says, look at what I wrote in my commentary to verse 22:20, which I just read, and you shall not taunt or oppress a convert, and you will see that the verse confirms everything I wrote there. Okay, so basically, you know the soul of a convert because you were converts in Egypt. There's when I first came to Yeshiva, Dar Torah here in Brooklyn, Crown Heights, one of the first Masechtas, we learned a piece in Shabbos, and we learned that one of the opinions over there was that all the Jews were converts at Har Sinai. So even if you want to say, we could translate it converts, or we could translate it strangers, and it's referring to both. And we've seen now that I can bring commentaries that will tell you that it's referring to both. So you have to apply it to both. And you have to say that basically that the oppressing and the hating also applies to before the conversion, because you don't know if that person's going to end up converting or not. So what does Rashi say over here? Rashi says, "You shall not oppress a stranger." In many places, the Torah warns with regard to the stranger because his inclination is to evil. So Rashi quotes actually from Bava Metzia 59b, where it says that it says it was taught in a Baraisa. Rabbi Eliezer the Great says, "For what reason does the Torah warn in 36 places, and some say in 46 places, about offending a convert? Because his inclination is bad." Okay? So the footnote over here says, he is accustomed to his pre-conversion behavior, and he might well lapse back into his old ways if he does not feel welcome as a convert. See Rashi to Kedushin 82a, also Rashi to Arayos 13a, and Rashi to Sanhedrin 92b. That is, since a proselyte experienced many things that a Jew from birth would not have experienced, he is subject to additional temptations. So this is not always true, but in a lot of cases it is true. I know it to be true in my own life, in my own personal experience. There are things that I experienced before my conversion that are definitely temptation for me after my conversion, that somebody who was born Jewish and quote unquote attached to holiness in as far as they should have been raised in a Torah established and mitzvah established home, in that case they would have been sheltered and protected from these things that would plague them later on in life. And it's just a reality, and it's just a fact. Also, there's an idea of being born in a holiness that when it's Jewish and it's according to Torah and it's according to law, that's considered to be born in holiness. And not always do the Gentiles when they procreate. Is it in holiness, or is it for holy purposes? As the purpose for procreation relations is for procreation. That should be the kavana and the intent of it. Anything other than that is for egotistical, selfish motives and desires. And so we see here basically that the idea of goyim being attached to evil and wickedness is not something that is brand new to Kabbalah or Hasidut. It is something that is well established. As a matter of fact, it's established in the Torah itself, and it's also established in the Tanakh. Shlomo Melech said that the goyim only do kindness for selfish motives. So I don't believe that I believe that that's a general statement. I don't believe that that's a statement that is true 100% of the time.